What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph, and welcome to Fictioning Flow. Today is Halloween, so I thought I would share with you all some of my favorite books from this year and maybe a little bit from last year that have kind of like changed the way I looked at some of the villains in the different comic universes. And these are villains that have kind of like come to the forefront as of lately, and everything that they put out with these books have been kind of like big game changers, and I want to share some of those with you since the season. All right, and also I'm rocking my Marvel Zombie shirt to kind of go with the theme, but let's jump right into it. So the first book that I want to share with you all is called Marvel Zombies Resurrection. So it's not the original Marvel Zombie story. It kind of takes a different direction. It's where like after the end of the first arc, and I won't spoil that for anyone because it was really good, like something else happened and that the Marvel zombie disease has gotten back on the earth and it kind of never went away and people have aged up. So some people who originally were Marvel zombies are not now. So it's like a different timeline in the Marvel Zombies multiverse. So this is Marvel Zombies Resurrection. And you can tell by the cover, it's kind of a throwback to the classic Wolverine and Hulk battle. That first appearance of Wolverine, I think it was Incredible Hulk 175, is where Wolverine is fighting the Hulk for the first time. He's sent to hunt him down. And you can also kind of see Thor's in the background as well. But this kicks off the new universe and it's totally different. It revolves around them trying to find a cure for the Marvel zombie disease. And all I'm going to tell you is that it involves a couple of key players. You have Peter Parker, and you have Franklin Richards, which is the son of Mr. Fantastic. And also Valeria, which is his sister, who's also his daughter. And they're working with a few other superheroes that are still up to try to take this disease and find a cure for it. Only thing I want to share with you without giving too much away, because it's a really good story arc, is that Franklin is a mutant. It's kind of almost like super powerful. He's like omnipotent type and close to godlike powers. And it has a lot to do with him and his sister. So something within them can help possibly reverse this. But it's a good story. I think it's like 5 or 6 issues. You should definitely check it out. And it's an interesting twist on the Marvel Zombies. Jumping into our second book. This is another new book that came out. It started from another arc earlier last year. It was called Spider-Man Nonstop. And basically this story arc was revolved around supposed to like high action octane. So every issue was super action packed and it just like never stopped with everything that was going on. That revolved around this new drug that was introduced. And when people would take it, they kind of got this rush and they would kind of mutate a little bit, turn into these monsters. And so Spider-Man was realizing this drug was starting to be used at the college that he was teaching at sometimes, and I think Empire University. And so he wanted to make sure that everything was okay because a friend of his came to him about, staying up late trying to do this to study for the exams, and it kind of got out of hand. So he started researching it and going through this. It's a whole separate story arc, but at the end of Spider-Man Nonstop, spoiler alert, Spider-Man was actually infected with the drug himself. And it changed him. And it had a lot to do with Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo was one of the people who helped organize this and orchestrate the drug being into production. So when Spider-Man got infected with this drug, he changed. And he actually turned into a more spider-like creature. And they began a new book in a new story arc called The Savage Spider-Man. And this is the issue 3. It's a variant cover. And you can see why he is called the Savage Spider-Man. I mean, this particular Spider-Man, very little brain functions. So he was kind of like, if you can think of like how the Incredible Hulk is, when he's Hulk instead of Bruce Banner, this is how this Spider-Man kind of functions. He's all instinct. He's all about hunting down his enemies and being like the king. He's trying to be the alpha or apex predator in this universe. The crazy part is that Baron Zemo actually has some control over him. Since he kind of helped orchestrate this drug, he's able to have some kind of control over Spider-Man. Peter is dealing with this duality in this series. Part of him wants to operate on instinct, this whole savage Spider-Man, kind of just like unleash and dominate the area that he's in, because they're like on an island. It's kind of more of like a forest area. He wants to be like the king of that. He wants, like I said, that apex predator. whereas the other part is Peter trying to get his humanity back. Because in this state, he kind of doesn't care about friends, he doesn't care about people, he is all about just being at the top of the food chain. This is a great book to check out, Savage Spider-Man. Going along with this spider trail, you know that Spider-Man is constantly being plagued by goblins, right? That's kind of like his thing. His arch nemesis is the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, right? He's been one of the biggest thorns in Spider-Man's side since he first appeared. So, as you know, no spoiler warning at all, Green Goblin killed Peter Parker's first official girlfriend, which was Gwen Stacy, right? That's that infamous scene. It's in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's in that movie where he kind of threw Gwen Stacy off of a bridge. And Spider-Man went to save her. He shot a web, but he was still kind of young and unexperienced. So when the web attached to her back, the force shocked and it kind of snapped her neck. I know it's pretty gruesome, so he regrets that all the time. But in the history, there's been the Green Goblin. Then we have the Hobgoblin, right, which is another character entirely, but also just wearing a goblin suit. He usually rocks an orange suit. And here's an interesting fun fact. The original Hobgoblin's name is Ned Reeves. And if that name sounds somewhat familiar, that is also the name of his best friend in the MCU Spider-Man series, right? So his best friend Ned, and if you saw Spider-Man No Way Home, you kind of saw hints of this. He was like, all the other spiders were like, yeah, my best friends became my enemies. And Ned was like, I would never do that. But I'm like, wait a minute, his name is Ned Reeves, and that's the name of the original Hobgoblin. And in the movie, there's a scene where he kind of looks at a goblin glider. So it's possible we may see a transformation at some point. Don't know. But anyway, that's another one. Then we have Demo Goblin, which was born out of the Infinity War. So we have the Infinity Gauntlet, then you have Infinity War, which is a sequel to it, where instead of this one character named Adam Warlock, which we are stated to see in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, only way he was able to save everybody was to purge himself of both good and evil. So he was non-biased. So his evil side came out, which was called Magnus, and it made evil clones of everybody. So the evil clone of the Hobgoblin was Demo Goblin. And at one point in time, we had what I call the worst goblin of them all. So it was Red Goblin. This is what happened when Norman Osborn had got a hold of the Carnage symbiote from Cletus Cassidy and merged the two, and they became the Red Goblin. So he's been seeing Spider-Man has been plagued by a history of goblins. But now we have a new one. We have the Goblin Queen. And like all the other goblins, she is just as bad as anyone else. I like this new design of this character. I won't tell you who she is. You have to check that out for yourself. But it's a really good, interesting character who is causing new kind of twists and turns for Spider-Man. Focusing a lot on his history because they know who Peter is. That's one big difference. And they're trying to do a lot of things to mess with him. I would definitely check out this arc. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 88 in a new run. But this goblin, this Red Goblin Queen is an interesting take. Moving right along to one character I like from back in the day is the Punisher, Frank Castle. So the Punisher is a regular human being, no superpowers, but he is the first anti-hero I ever knew about. So he kind of takes his own personal vendetta on crime and bad guys. So what separates him from a normal hero is that the fact that he's an anti-hero, he's willing to kill in order to get the job done. But he only goes after criminals. He doesn't go after anyone who hasn't done anything wrong. So recently, there's a group of ninjas that have been around in Daredevil books for a lot of years called the Hand. They're this really interesting ninja set that kind of has magical and occult type powers. They can regenerate people, and the members kind of will sacrifice themselves for the Hand. And they are controlled by this character called the Beast. The Beast is supposed to be the ultimate evil. It's been around for Earth for years, and that's what gives them their power and strength. They pray to the Beast like a god. So the Hand was looking for a new leader, and they said, we gotta find somebody who's kind of on the same level. And of course, naturally, they were like, who's racked up more kills than the Punisher? He is a natural fit. So the Hand actually persuaded Punisher to work for them. They're like, how is this even possible? But there's a reason. I won't spoil it for you, but it's a really good reason. But now the Punisher is the leader of the Hand. And so he's going about doing things even worse than he did before. And this is his story. So I don't like the look of his new outfit. it's changed a little bit. They kind of have the hand symbol mixed with the Punisher symbol, but he is going all out. The only saving grace, if you want to call it that, is that the Punisher, since he controls the hand now, he's having them go out and take out specific groups of people, like mobsters, which is what he usually takes out, bad guys who do bad things. So he's sending them to kind of further his goal of eliminating crime from the city. But they also have their hands in controlling him. So it's a really good book, and I suggest checking it out if you're interested in that kind of, once again, that duality of someone struggling in kind of conflict, and you kind of can see why the Punisher decided to work for the hand. I'm waiting for a book, and it is coming out, when all the regular characters from the Marvel Universe kind of like, wait a minute, the Punisher's leader of the hand, and they take it to him. So I'm just waiting to see like when Daredevil goes up against the Punisher and see what pans out. Next book is The Incredible Hulk, but it's a different twist. So if you know anything about the Hulk's history, you know he's had several different personalities which have generated different Hulks. We have the Gray Hulk, which is named Mr. Fix-It or Joe Fix-It. He's kind of a little bit more intelligent, but he's kind of like he's not as powerful. And for a lot of years, he lived out in Las Vegas as like a bouncer and a bodyguard. Then you have like what they call the Savage Hulk, which is where we normally see the regular Hulk. Then you have Professor Hulk, which is kind of was in MCU recently. And that's where it's like Bruce Banner's intelligence in the Hulk body. So there's been several different Hulks, including a Red Hulk, which is a different person. The new storyline for the Hulk has taken a different avenue as far as redesigning and looking at the Hulk's history. So they're getting a more introspective look of his brain and how it works. And there's this new Hulk that's starting to emerge. And it's like, you know, this claims to be the worst Hulk of all of them. And it's like deep down. And apparently this Hulk has always been like pushing the darkness and the anger and the rage, but it's never broken free. And now it finally has. And this new Hulk is called the Titan. So it's like the biggest one of them all and the most savage and most violent and evil. So in the recent Hulk issue number 6, we have the first appearance of the Titan Hulk. And I'm warning you, this picture is a little graphic. So as you can see, the new Titan Hulk is bursting through the back of the Incredible Hulk. He is emerging out. And if you look at the hand, you get a kind of idea about the scale when it comes to the size of this new Titan Hulk. It is the worst Hulk I've ever seen, and I was just shocked to see all the rage and rampaging that it can do. And it's practically unstoppable. Like no one, I think now, can stop this new Titan Hulk. All right, I'm gonna show you a variant cover because I got another one which shows the full picture of the Hulk on the cover. So this is the full first appearance of the Titan Hulk. Right, dark, evil, like 4 times his size. You know, it's just a different character, and I like this spin. So if you're interested in finding out about this different, darker version of the Hulk, you're like, what could be worse than savage, rampaging Hulk? This is the worst version, the Titan Hulk. All right. This next book is an indie book, and I'm warning you, this is not for kids. This book is so different and so strange, but I really love the eeriness and creepiness of it. It's a book called The Closet. Has a nice looking innocent cover, but it is so dark. Really quickly to give you the premise, it's about this guy who's kind of like hard on his luck. He's getting ready to move with his family. He has a son and his wife. And the wife and husband kind of seem like they don't really get along that much. And it seems like they're slated for a divorce. But they're trying to move as like a last-ditch effort to kind of save their family, if you will. So as the husband's out like drinking, and then he comes home, and the wife's kind of like, hey, he was supposed to be here. And like, I'm sorry, I was doing this and that. And they get into an argument. The son is watching all this. And he finally decides, like, you know, Dad, I need some help. Like, I'm scared to sleep in my room tonight. It's like, what's wrong, buddy? Like, there's a monster in my closet. Like, you know, it's just your imagination. But the kid is like, you know, scared. So the father tries to convince him, like, hey, I got something that can help you. This will be fine. You don't have to worry about this anymore. And as the boy goes to sleep, the closet lights up and it opens. And this little creature, about the same size as the boy itself, no eyes, bald, teeth, claws, like just climbs into bed with him. And I'm like, what is going on? And he's just there, and he's an evil presence, obviously. And, you know, it's like the boy screams in the middle of the night, and the parents are like, what's going on? you know, you can sleep with us, we'll be okay. And the father's like, you don't have to worry because we're moving tomorrow and this closet will be here, the monster won't travel. The boy goes back to bed and eventually goes back into his own room. And I don't want to spoil everything for you, but it kind of takes a twist where the creature kind of lets the kid know, no matter where you go, I will follow you. So it's almost like this closet will appear at any house they go to. And I've been trying to figure out what this creature is. I think it could possibly be the manifestation of the boy's anger towards his parents arguing, or it could even be his father's anger, or because he doesn't really express himself. He kind of holds a lot in. So it's either the boy's anger in monster form, or it's something to do with his father. But I know that it's a tricky book. It's only a couple of issues out, but I'm fully in for this ride. So check out The Closet if you want something strange and weird and different. And my last book I have, this is one of the best DC books that I've read in a long time. So DC has been doing this thing recently with the Batman's villains called One Bad Day. So each book focuses on the Batman villain and it goes through like a day that was just horribly bad and gone wrong. This was the first one that came out. One of my favorite DC villains, the Batman villains, is the Riddler. I love this story. I can't speak enough about it. This is the greatest Riddler story I've read to date. Just to give you a quick premise, it kind of starts off with this random guy who like leaving his job, goes out to wait for a bus. The Riddler comes up behind him and ends it. And there's no explanation. And everyone's kind of shocked, like what's going on? Riddler reaches into his pocket and just pulls out a business card that just has Batman's symbol, like, bring me Batman. Is all he wants. So the police swarm him, they take him in, he doesn't resist. He's acting normal, he goes straight to jail, and he's talking to Commissioner Gordon. And Gordon's like, why did you kill this man? What's going on? Who was he to you? He's like, nobody, I'm just a random guy. And he's like, that doesn't make sense, that's not you. He was like, well, let me tell you a riddle. How about this story, if you don't believe that? So the Riddler goes and he says, you ever wonder how the Joker knew that you and Barbara would be home and how he got past your security system? So kind of jumping back, this famous issue when the Joker broke into Commissioner Gordon's home and he shot Barbara Gordon, which is Batgirl, in the back and kind of damaged her spine. She couldn't walk. And he captured Commissioner Gordon and humiliated him for a while. They kind of tortured him and let him go. But the Riddler kind of tells Gordon, he was like, I get a phone call one day and it's like, hey, I got this idea for having one bad day, but I just don't have an idea for a plan. Could you help me out? And the Riddler was like, yeah, you know what? I've been working on this plan for a while, but I got bored with it. How about I give it to you? And the Joker was like, great. Like, I'll even throw a dance in for you at the end. And he's laughing. And so Commissioner Gordon was like, that was you. And he's like ready to hurt him. He's like, look, don't touch me. All I want you to do is bring me Batman. So he tells Batman about this, and then they're going to transfer the Riddler to a secure location so he can kind of meet with Batman. They're like, forget that. You know what? Let's not make him meet. We're going to put him in Arkham. Let's just take him to Arkham. So on the way there, the Riddler is talking to some of the guards because Gordon has hired all these armed guards. He was like, hey, such and such. Like, how do you know my name? He was like, oh, I know more than just your name. I know your wife's name, daughter, son. He's like going over their names, what schools they go to, where they live. And he's seeing each of the guards and he's saying this about all of them. And he was like, I've broken out of Arkham many times. If you take me there, I will break out and I will kill all your family. And the guards panic and they attack each other. And it's like, Riddler was like I said, bring me Batman. I've never seen Riddler so powerful. He's always been this like bumbling guy. Solving riddles is his thing, but this is boss Riddler. I won't spoil the ending for you, but I will say that as you go through this, you kind of learn about the Riddler's history. I think it's like a redesign. You find out that Riddler went to this like a private boarding school, and his teacher was the one who kind of got him involved in riddles. He always liked them, but he would try to solve riddles on the test. So on the test, the teacher would always throw a riddle like as a bonus question, and Edward Nygma would always try to solve it, and he kind of wouldn't get it at first, but then he would try to do his own thing. But he learned that I think the headmaster was actually Riddler's father. And he was embarrassed that his son wasn't the top. Like, you're my son, I'm running the school. You should be the #1 student here. And his father kind of would beat him up when he didn't do well. I'm gonna leave it right there because the story is so good. Well, I'll give you one more little surprise taste. It's later revealed that the Riddler knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne. And that blew my mind. But if you're looking for a good story, a mystery, a new backstory to the Riddler's origin, looking at Riddler become like the boss character, which I always wanted him to step up to become, you definitely need to check out Riddler One Bad Day. It is excellent. All right, those have been a couple of books that have gotten me this year, and they've just been really good with the villains. But I have one bonus for you. Last year when I did my villains episode and villain covers, I talked about one that came out, maybe 10 years now, or even a little bit later, about DC did this whole thing for Villains Month, where they had the villains on the cover of all the books. And there was a new character that came out called the Joker's daughter. And it had no relation to the Joker. It was actually, her name is Dula Dent. She has a relationship to Harvey Dent, Two-Face. And it's an interesting twist because in this arc that happened right before the Joker was in jail, he broke out and he did one of the most gruesome things I've ever seen him do in a book. He took his face off and he left it at the Gotham City Police Department, like as a joke. And he had somebody like reconstruct his face later on. So they had the face and evidence, and they were gonna like have Batman come and examine it, try to figure out who his real identity is, the Joker. But somehow the face got out of the Gotham Police Department and it like fell into the sewer. And Dula Dent, that's where she was staying. She found it and she put that face and grafted it onto hers. And that's how she became the Joker's daughter. And it was a 3D cover. I warn you, this is not for the squeamish or easy of heart. This is a gross 3D cover of Dula Dent holding the Joker's face over her face. And I just want to share that book with you in the spirit of Halloween. This is a hard book to find, but it is pretty graphic. It's pretty detailed. And you can see that 3D effect. I hope it's coming through pretty good across the camera. But this story arc blew me away. It was one of the deepest ones I've read in a long time, and I was really excited to find this new twist on this character that was combining the Joker and Two-Face in the same kind of like model. She hasn't made an appearance in the comics in quite a while, but you should definitely check this out. This book is really hard to find. It's pretty expensive at this point. All right, so those have been my favorite villains for this year and some previous years for Halloween. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below. Tell me which book and which cover you like the most, which story sounded like the most interesting for you to read. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified when new content drops. All right, I will catch you next time, and have a happy and safe Halloween. Peace. If you don't have it, you are truly missing. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up? If you don't have it, you are truly missing. Fiction Ink Flow. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up? If you don't have it, you are truly missing. Fiction Ink Flow.